So I'm SergeantMurica, as most people will know, but I have a guest here, Ekolimits, and so just so everybody knows, I absolutely owe my career to Ekolimits and many other streamers because I based myself off of them when I used to watch their content, and I got really lucky to have come across the opportunity to work with Ekolimits on Tilt games and many other occasions, and just talking to him, and especially now having him as a guest here over at Valhalla Esports and for this recording and everything. It's just absolutely amazing to have somebody that I looked up to, that along with Stone Mountain 64 and so many people that I've been able to work with so far. Um, I just want to point out real quick that Ekolimits started off streaming. He got to 100K or over 100K followers on Twitch, and then he moved on to some business ventures, which I want him to actually get into when he breaks the ice. But so far, it's going amazing for him, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring him in here today, is actually to talk to people and get some information out there, because just streaming is a terrible idea. I've started a podcast, I've started a YouTube, I've I so I started streaming, and when I was streaming at the beginning, I was going for 12 hours a day for 7 days a week, and my wife hated that and was getting mad at me. And it actually took until Echo Limits told me that's a terrible idea for me to stop doing that. Uh, yeah. So in all reality, it takes until somebody tells you, "Hey, that's stupid," before you change yourself. But I'm gonna give the reins over to Echo Limits real quick so he can actually introduce himself and give his credentials.
Sure. I'm glad I had an impact in being able to help you define your own content and decide, what are the good directions. At the end of the day, we can only speak from our experiences or things we've learned or heard from other people. And ultimately, I try to just put all that together for the future future content creators that come out. Just because there's a lot of tried and true, and there's a little bit of fair bit of mysticism as to what happens within the industry, and say like, hey, what what could make you a great influencer? Because you think about it, like people who've made it big, sometimes understand that why should I help someone to be my competition, right? And at the end of the day, I look at it not so much. It's more about, um, I guess I'm 32, but um, my focus to create content was in my 20s. And once I've kind of grown out of it and decided, well, my next step in industry is professional in it. Now I look to help influencers develop themselves and become professionals eventually in industry as well. Um, but yeah, I wanted to start off by saying thanks for having me here, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you guys and answer your questions about whatever I can. Um, and it's a pleasure to just know that I've had an impact on someone who's now putting together an esports uh, company here to help other streamers become better competitors, and just more aware of what are the possibilities within the game industry. And that's really key. So what you're doing is pretty amazing, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Go ahead. If you have a question.
Yeah, I was actually say it's actually Thor's esports community. I'm just head of content creation over here with a few friends that I brought into it. So I just help out with the content creators here. But Thor is actually in here right now, and he's the
Okay.
big overseeing daddy of of this esports team, which is
Well, it's a pleasure to
amazing.
meet him, um, for sure. And what you guys are trying to put together, it's not easy. Community management, or just bringing value to other content creators. Of hey, whether it is through these talks with creators who've been in the industry or are in the industry in other ways, or I'm sure you guys have a lot more ways to help people. So to preface like what we're going to be talking about today, just to kind of give you guys an idea who I am, where I started, and then we'll jump into all the topics that SergeantMurica has put together. My name is Eric. I go by Ekolimits online, and yeah, I've been content creating for probably 8 years. Since the PlayStation 4 came out, and the idea was like one day I just looked at my controller. I was like, what happened to the start and select button? Why is there share and options now? And eventually, I clicked that share button and I learned what Twitch was. And that was the heydays of like, well, the beginning days of Twitch. Like people didn't know what the platform was, and people were streaming whatever the thought was appropriate or inappropriate. There was no rules. Um, and even back then, there were no rules on how to become a partner streamer. So I've been a partner streamer for years now. I believe it's over 5 years. And even then, I applied like 10 times to become a partner streamer because there were no guidelines. Even though I was holding an audience of 300, 400, um, they could have just said no because, oh, well, and no explanation. And so now I think the industry is maturing. People know what the criteria is to become a partner, to become an affiliate. Affiliate wasn't even a thing, right? Um, and the platform has so much more to give, but the one big thing it doesn't is it doesn't have discoverability. And so there's a lot that we can go dive into that. But back when I was a streamer, with years ago when I started, what you described was something that people did often, stream for 12 hours, 24-hour streams, 40-hour streams. Like, who knows? Some people tried to do some ridiculous things. And these things worked. They got people hyped, people followed, and they were like, oh my God, you see that guy? Because it was novel. Nobody had tried these things, or people kind of just did them here and there. Um, but when me and you connected, and I heard you saying that, and this was years later, and I'm just like, wow, well, that's not a good idea because I think content creation has shifted away from quantity to quality.
Oh
You
yeah,
look at
definitely.
some few years ago kind of success stories. The success stories aren't from quantity; they're just quality. Like Dr. Disrespect comes to mind, for instance, just because he was someone that was known industry. He worked in industry, and then he quit, and then he went back to consecration. But his thing was, I'm gonna have this persona. I'm gonna do this all up, and um, I'm going to feed people this information, this show, and it's gonna be only a few hours, and people gonna want to tune in next time. And I think that's what the industry is now. You look at someone like the Sushi Dragon. Um, Amazing content. If you're not familiar with who that is and you're listening and you're into Twitch creation, live editing, and everything else, check out what this guy's doing. I mean, it's ridiculous, the quality of his content. So, um, I would like to preface and say, like, yes, I'm an old school guy, um, and I've seen the shift in industry. I know it's for the better, and I also think it's for the healthier of content creators because even I myself spent a lot of time streaming, and I started out as a teacher, and in my day job was teaching, and my nightlife was come home 5 o'clock after work, 4:30, eat some dinner, and 6 start streaming from 6 to 12, 6 to 1, and I did this for years. And you say your wife was upset with you, and
Yeah.
at that time my girlfriend was upset with me, and these are just things that aren't healthy. They're not healthy for anyone, not yourself. That's not a good habit, and ultimately it it's one of those things that forces a change.
Yeah.
So
If you're putting
um,
yourself to where you're not healthy because you're just doing so much work, then your content's gonna just take an absolute.
it's gonna suffer and
Yeah.
everything else, your own attitude and everything else. But we live and we learn, and so I wanted to first start the conversation by letting people know that if I have an opinion or if I have some information or some advice, know that it comes from I've been there, I've done it, or I've seen people close to me do it, and it's an informed opinion. At the end of the day, it's an opinion, but it is an informed one. So um, when you do something for a long time, you start to see what are good ideas, what are bad ideas, and you connect the dots. And so to fast forward to today, I don't create content anymore, but I am the head of marketing at Tilt Games. And it was one of those efforts of meeting two guys who had a great company, helping developers reach Asian markets. And I came up to them and I said, hey, why don't we just reach all the markets? Why don't we go global? And they're like, okay, Eric, well, what does that look like? Well, why don't we market through Twitch streamers and influencers? And so a lot of that was kickstarted by just my hunch and feeling and saying, hey, I know this space. Let's get it all connected. Let's build something that has value for developers and other publishers, and let's market games. So that's who I am, and that's what I'm doing now. Um, I hope that gives you guys listening a basis for what we can talk about today. And Sergeant America, I'll let you jump into the next topic or how you want to structure this.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'm actually kind of excited because I get to use my college degree in history because it was emphasized in primary source interviews. So I haven't been able to do those in years. Anyways, so we already
Cool.
got into kind of like what got you to start. You kind of just did it mostly on accident, but what kept you going? What kept you streaming when you started?
I had a lot of support. Even who I was with, closest friends, relationships, people supported me, and they were just like, "If this is what you're passionate about, then do it." And that comes first. People have to believe in you that are very close to you, and then eventually you meet some friends who you play with, and they become really close. Albeit, everyone's on the internet, but you feel that closeness. They become your best friends, and they want you to succeed. And they're like, Eric, why don't you get a Blue Yeti microphone instead of this crappy headset you're using? And here's a better camera, and here's this, um, and I and all of that motivated. Plus, it's motivating when you see growth in your own channel. Like you went from 10 concurrents to 25 to 100 to 150, and so on. And one of the biggest motivating factors too is once you start getting the eyes of the companies that you play their games, and EA, invited me to go see Battlefield 1, and I'm like, wait a minute, but I'm just this dude. Um, and then it all kind of accumulates up into knowing that you're on the right trajectory, right direction, and um, you're enjoying what you do.
That I mean, if you're not enjoying what you're doing in any aspect, no matter what job you're doing, in all honesty, you probably shouldn't be doing that job. Because in the end of the day,
True.
if you're not enjoying it, you're not putting in the work that you're supposed to. You're kind of just giving half the job. It's not good. So, what was your favorite part? Obviously, probably getting invited to Battlefield 1 and the support. But then on the other side of that, what was your least favorite part? What actually got you to not want to continue, and how many times did it really bother you?
So I'm gonna kind of jump that question into two sections, because I feel that there's a favorite physical part and a favorite mm, uh, mm, I guess metaphysical part where it's like, because what we do when you're a content creator, you're doing things, and things are affected in a real world right in front of you, and there are things that are affected that are virtual. Well, I should say, because you're connecting with people online, and there's a virtual aspect to it, but it isn't in person. So to tell you, like, one of the favorite physical things would be like the opportunities to go hang out with other YouTubers, other Twitch streamers at events, whether it is E3, whether it is GDC, PAX or something, and you get to meet people. Um, and once you're a Twitch partner, you get invited to the parties or something like that, where it's a Twitch party, but you're basically hanging out with your peers, and that's something that I've always loved, meeting people who do what I do, are excited about the games that I like. Specifically, like, I was really into Battlefield, so it was great to meet all the YouTubers that covered Battlefield and just sit down and jam and talk with them about it. And that was like the physical aspect that is great. Of course, the negative downside of physical things like that is, you do have to travel quite a bit, and not always is that a good thing. Specifically, if you're, um, mm, I guess, if you're in a deep relationship with someone, and you can't dedicate that time to that person because um, people don't realize that. Well, maybe some of you guys do. Is content creation as your own business is pretty expensive, right? You have to spend a lot of money on all these peripherals and things like that. And oftentimes even the travel expenses. Like I've went to GDC, I've went to PAXs, and I went to these things out of my own pocket. Or, I raised the money through my own channel. I said, hey guys, we have a donation goal. I really want to go here. And so that would be the negative part because these travel things are expensive. And there were times where I slept in terrible hotels just because it was like in the middle of San Francisco and 250 a night, and otherwise, you're paying $800, $500 a night
The
just to
mattress
be
is
close by.
mostly cockroaches.
Oh, I don't know what it was, but I didn't even like tuck into that bed, and that's the real fact. Um, I think that night was like $180 a night, and it was in the middle of San Fran. But the other alternative is like, okay, you're living out, but then every single day you have to like Uber in. So I was just like, no, I want to be in the city because I want to be close. I just want to walk there. um yeah, maybe sure there could have been different solutions, but at the end of the day, time is valuable to me. And if I'm spending time in San Francisco, I want it to be close to the venue, to go to as many events as possible and meet developers, meet potential um partners that I may be able to cover the game, help them. I was always very passionate about helping developers, and kind of makes sense where I am today. But that's the good and the bad of what the physical is, and then I can shift over to the virtual. The good in the virtual is I've literally one time had a layover in Lisbon in Portugal, and I was just like, man, 7 hours missed my flight. What am I gonna do? And I put it on Twitter, and somebody I've been gaming for a year with, like, he watched my stream and everything else, his the Quantum Gamer online, and he messaged me. He's like, "Dude, I'm in Lisbon. Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm at the airport." He's like, "Yo, can I hang out?" I'm like, "Shoot, let's hang out." And you know how profoundly cool it is to be able to do that? Like,
Yeah.
go to another country and have somebody know who you are in a connected way, and just sit there and just jam and have a cup of coffee or something. And that virtual space is when you meet these people who are really great and supportive, fun to be with, become your friends, and you can go years talking, not talking, just seeing what everyone's doing. When you sit down to catch up, it feels like a good old friend, and that's the good of the virtual. But life is balanced, and there's always a bad. And within the space, and I've been under the gun a lot of things when it comes to like trolls, but it depends on what games you're a part of. And some games have toxic communities, and they just don't want to see you succeed. And it's not so much about like, hey, did I anger someone? It really is just people going through a lot of crap in their life, and some bring it out on others. Um, and I've even had that. I've had people call me in the middle of the night because they found out my phone number, you know? And that's weird. Call my brother. Like, that's weird. Like, why would you do that? He has nothing to do with like any content creation that I create. Why are you bothering someone else? And so there's the downside of the virtual. And overall, you look at the big picture, and there's pluses, there's minuses, physical, and there's pluses and minuses that are virtual. So um, hopefully that dives in a little deeper than what maybe you were expecting, but I do think that it is important to distinguish between the two.
Oh, that's definitely amazing. It definitely fills in gaps of the of just overall where the question didn't. I mean, I love that. I loved being able to get more to the question than I actually was necessary. Because at the end of the day, we're here to give people the absolute most out of this opportunity, to give people the absolute best of both worlds, the positives and negatives, and you're able to help out in so much. And you put up an interesting point about the trolls and everything. I mean, it doesn't matter how big you are. I'm sure people in here right now have had that
Hmm.
one guy already in there in their chat doing things. Because the week after I actually I'm the week after I talked to you the first time, I had
Hmm.
somebody play a game. I was playing a public game, and because of this, I didn't really play a public game for a while. But this person said the N word in chat, and I had 5 people in the game. There's only 6 people overall, and this guy was just the odd man out. I already knew the voices of everybody else because we've been playing for months at the time, and we decide, hey man, that's not cool. We're going to take you out because some people are here streaming or whatever. He's just like, no, probably one of your friends said it. I was just like, no, no. But then this guy ends up coming into my channel because he figures out that I was streaming,
Hmm.
and then he starts just because Twitch doesn't. I mean, everybody knows they don't have
Yep.
the greatest moderation for slurs and stuff like that. And he was
It's
just
just
spamming the
impossible,
N
though.
word. Yeah, it's impossible because you just put in ones where there was like you just changed it a little bit, and it's impossible
Yep.
to block all permutations of the same word. Like it's impossible to because people can just put in like symbols or whatever they want to, and
Exactly.
it's impossible.
I'm well aware of that from the development perspective. I work with, for instance, a game like Run Prop Run, which is a free to play multiplayer title, and we have chat in the game, and it's an issue we know is in there, but mm, nothing we can do so much about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can
Permutations.
even see
We
this
always be
problem.
able to spell something out.
Yeah, you can even see this problem in Destiny. I actually ran into somebody I was playing some public matches in Destiny, and this guy's name was Piglet, but obviously not with the P. You know where it's going on that. Like it's a
Yes.
horrible name. And you don't even know how long he probably had that name. I mean, me and
Yeah.
everybody that was watching me reported him, but I mean, he probably still has it because it's probably just sliding under the radar, and that's why he has it. Nobody really, it's not exactly the word, and Destiny doesn't have the time or money because they're already trying to fix everything else, and it's just a problem with everything when it comes down to development and moderation. It is impossible to
It is
block everything.
impossible because I have an interesting example of it. There's a Battlefield YouTuber, and his name is Nikaman, Niccaman, right? And he got banned for something because they thought that he was using the N word in his name, and it's actually his like last name.
Oh,
You know what I
jeez.
mean? So, like we can create these filters that try to like shield us from the F bomb and all these other places, but we can never say that in some other country, because he's not even like an American, right? So he's in another country, but in some other country, in some other dialect, what does that mean? And then eventually we have these issues.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's darn near impossible to figure this out, and the idea really is like, yes, you're right, and it's a good thing to bring up is that you will face trolls at any size that you have uh, your channel, and there's definitely do's and don'ts about it, and if you want to jump into that, we can, or
I mean,
maybe there's another
if you
segment.
want to, if you want to jump into that, I mean, don't feed the trolls is like the biggest thing I can say.
True.
Never feed the
um,
trolls.
uh, Over the years, just through my experience as a content creator and also experience as someone who builds communities for video games on Discord or Twitter and things like that, I've really come to know that I don't have time for it. They get the biggest boot as fast as they can because I started my career as a person who wanted to help people, and now that I've gotten older, I shifted my thinking to saying, look, I can't help everyone. And this is one of those things like I looked back and I reflected like, well, why did I want to be a teacher? And I taught in the inner city. I grew up in the inner city in New Jersey. I wanted to give back to the community. I want to help those kids who don't have a mom or dad at home or something. Maybe they have just grandma raising them or something. Who knows? Drug related crimes. There's a lot of stuff that I've seen. But eventually I've realized that while being a good-hearted person and trying to help everyone, it is impossible to help everyone. And when I first came into contact with people who were trolls, I almost felt their pain. A person who goes out and wants to harm others is someone who doesn't know how to deal with his own pain, and he passes it on, because nobody should be with pain. Like, I learned through my own life, everything that's painful to me, I learned how to deal with it, sit, think about it, and release it. But I know enough not to release it onto others. But some people don't know that difference. And these are the trolls on the internet. Um, because a happy person doesn't spend time commenting on some video game because now they have girls in it, because he doesn't like that in World War II there were no girls. Nobody's in their right mind, a happy person, will spend time on that because they have other happy things to do. Maybe that their mom's birthday is coming up and they'll think about that, or their best friend wants to hang out and have a beer, so they don't even cross their mind to go and complain about something. And so my shift my shift in mentality changed from feeling bad for people like that and trying to help and be there for them and all that, to realizing, look, we all have to learn the hard way, and the best lesson is learned on your own. You're really not doing anyone a favor by being nice to them when they're being dirtbags to you, to
Oh
try
yeah.
to change them. You're not doing anybody a favor. You see someone's being a dirtbag, my greatest advice to game developers or anybody I meet, content creators, cut them off. Have a nice day. Block. Not interested.
I mean,
You're pouring.
I've already banned and like permanently banned a friend who constantly asked me to let them back in, but no, you're like making fun of somebody that was one of my followers for being LGBTQ. I'm going to ban you. Everyone deserves to have their life and live their life the way that they want to live it, no matter what you believe. So, I mean, I'm the ban.
Right.
The ban hammer is indiscriminate. Indiscriminate.
Yep. And you're always better off not dealing with other people's problems, because I'll be honest with you, I have plenty of my own, and my day is filled with problems, and I need to solve them, whether they are my company, or friendships or relationships, and I don't have time for someone else's.
Yeah, when people are bringing in problems, I mean, at least mute them. If you know that they're not normally like that, at least mute them and be like, "Hey, this is not the time or place. You can DM me if something's really going on, but it obviously it's up to your discretion. If you know the person, they're just having a bad day, mute them and then tell them, "Hey, just DM me. This is not the place." Uh,
Yep.
but if you don't know the person, obviously the best thing is a follower is not worth the trouble. I promise you. Follower is not where you want to go anyways. You want the viewer average, you want the chatters, and if just one follower follows you and then causes problems, they're not worth it because they're going to lower the viewer average, they're going to lower the chatters, and that's what actually
Yep.
matters. You can have
Exactly.
100 million followers, but if you only have one person watching your live, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
No influencer program is going to want you because you're not reaching enough people. You have a bunch of dead accounts that aren't watching you. You have
Yep.
no pull. You have no say. So what you want, a quality community, and Twitch is one of the easiest place to make a quality community, um, because of all the like even though there's no discoverability, we can narrow that out. But once you get
Mhm.
the people there, Twitch has just so much more availability to have building a community because of the high interaction time, uh, all the stuff that you can have for interactions. You don't really have that over on YouTube yet. I
Right.
mean, with the most recent announcement, they're getting ready to have raids, even though they can't call them raids. It's gonna be called something else. They're gonna have uh, sound things and a bunch of other stuff. So YouTube's playing catch up on that aspect. Um,
Really.
and that's going to be
You
a
know the
big
thing.
game changer. But Facebook's still kind of it's working its way
The Facebook is doing a great and amazing things, and you mentioned a friend of mine that
in the
is
metaverse.
a great content creator. Stone Mountain.
Oh yeah, level.
He's like the face of what is Facebook. I imagine content creation. and he's been very successful in that area. And the one thing I'll say is the biggest detractor from like YouTube being a community is that you're in YouTube. Like if you ever look at the comments, people don't really talk to each other. You don't go on
Hmm.
someone's page and try to find like, whoa, is SergeantMurica here again? Like, no. But when you go on a Twitch page, you get to know the people who watch. And I would see you, and like my name is always in red, your name is always in blue, and I'd be like, oh, it's SergeantMurica. I could see you, and I know your icons next to you. It feels like you, and that's the secret to success of Twitch has always been the chat. And
Oh
people
yeah.
who try to copy Twitch have not figured that out. Best example was Mixer. Mixer tried to compete with Twitch, and they didn't really realize that it's all about the chat. And their chat was horrendous, filled with weird things and pictures and emoji things. Just and the worst part was that your username was always blue, and the icon next to you was always generic. And so it's like nobody could find a friend to hang out with there because there was no identifier.
Yeah.
Um, but I do feel like we are getting off topic, and I would like
Oh
to
yeah.
just return to what we were saying. So this way we can keep a good format for people who are listening.
Yeah. Sorry, I have ADHD, and most people know that. I'm terrible with that.
No, I can sit here and talk all about the industry and anything.
Oh
It
yeah.
really does interest me.
It this is a very passionate thing for me as well, so I understand entirely. Um, but I think we did kind of narrow out trolls and stuff like that. I, and there was a part that I wanted to bring up, and I actually saved it real quick. But you never know what your impact is on other people when you're streaming. And I just want to put this out there because Echo mentioned his impact on other people, meeting a friend in or a viewer and friend in Lisbon, so many other things. You have no idea what you're putting out there, how it's going to impact somebody. It can actually save somebody's life. I've had four messages, one an email, and the rest on Discord, saying that I actually prevented them from taking their own life, and that is enough for me to justify doing this for the rest of my life. And you have no idea how many other people you're helping that won't actually tell you that you helped them. So just keep
True.
doing what you're doing and keep at it. But obviously, if something's not working, try to fix it. But for the to get back on topic with the questions and everything, what are some things that as a content creator would do differently if you were to be put back in your shoes 8 years ago? What would you start off, and how would you do it? And honestly, what mistakes would you not make again?
I think that the biggest thing is to plan for success. Because if you plan for success, you will reach success. If you're just turning on the stream, just to get a few more followers and grow, and then yeah, but if I keep growing, yeah, but if I have 100,000 followers, I will have great deals and I will have success, and the Lamborghini is going to be parked outside, right? Um, no. Did you plan for that Lamborghini? What did you do to have that Lamborghini? You know, did you notice that your revenue is low, so maybe you should have new merch? Get a great artist. Did you go out and talk to him? I think there's a lot of. I think this is a systematic thing of, even I saw it as an educator, and and I had felt it myself because, albeit the drive for success is very limited these days. People rather wait for success rather than go grab it. It's a weird concept, but I would recommend people starting now and looking to succeed is sit down, get a piece of paper, and plan that success. In this many months, I will have this many followers. In this many months, I will have conversation with this many companies. I will have this many sponsors, and chase it. Work hard, get connected, create a LinkedIn, create these other things that are industry standards, and chase it. Because when I started content creation, I mean, there was no like clear path of like how do you become a successful streamer? It was just like people who were streaming a lot, and eventually people followed a lot, and eventually somebody messaged you from a company. You're like, oh, cool, yeah, I would love to go play that game. It was super unprofessional, but now it is way more professional. And the opportunity then with this new change to professionality gives you. I speak to some influencers who have 20,000 followers, 15,000 followers, and they're super professional. So if you're sitting there, you have to think about yourself and say, wow, the competition is professional. I'm not. I see people who have 25,000 followers who have quality content, quality merch, quality business sense, quality business representatives that equal a streamer who has 150,000 followers. If you put that all into perspective, then you can see that this person who's 25,000 today and has all this in place is caring about all this, he's going to succeed because he's planning for success. So the biggest advice I would have to myself and or people who are in a similar situation starting up is sit down and plan that success. And when you don't reach your goals, because most of us don't reach our goals, right? 95% of my goals are not reached because, oh, X, Y, and Z. Like, oh man, yeah. Instead of actually working all Friday on a new trailer for one of our games, I got slammed and I had to fix my car because yeah, maybe I got a flat tire. So life derails us, but we make adjustments and we need to continue to chase goals and set those goals appropriately.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. That is actually outstanding. And you did hit the next subject right on the head, but I also want to put in there real quick. A lot of streamers don't want to get into TikTok and all these other like huge parts of the industry, which would also increase their exposure because they're afraid of, I don't have the time to really put in the effort. But when it comes to TikTok, YouTube, and all these other things, the effort is record and post. Just starting out. When you're just starting out, all you got to do is just hit the record and then post it. You just have to move forward and then incrementally get better slowly but surely. It's a mathematical equation. As long as you're improving slowly, you're going to become great. You don't start off being at the level of Stone Mountain or you or other people on YouTube. You have to slowly but surely get there. And you're hurting yourself by not just making that recording of you playing your game and then just posting it. You're hurting yourself. And then same thing for TikTok. Even if you can't dance, whatever, do something. Do something, put yourself out there because you're marketing
Yep.
yourself. And that's the important part. And then when you actually
Don't
get
limit
successful at
yourself.
that, yeah, don't never limit yourself. When you actually learn to market yourself good and become a great marketer of your own stuff, other people will be looking at you to be, hey, you want to influence. I just got invited to being a part of the TikTok Creator Fund, and then the next day, part of the TikTok Marketplace. So I'm getting influencer requests and stuff like that on TikTok. It's insane. You're limiting yourself by not just posting. Just post what you record. Don't be. You're going to be your biggest critic. Don't hurt yourself by just saying, "Oh, it's not good enough." Just post it. You don't know if it's gonna be good enough. Even if it sucks and people don't like it, you learn from it. Your failures is how you learn, and it's how you adjust. And you're never
Exactly.
gonna know what's gonna work until you just post.
You
Um,
know, the point is just as you said, you have to look for success in order to succeed. Success doesn't find you. Very
exactly.
rarely does that happen. Um, we fantasize about these things, the overnight successes, people who win a lottery ticket and a millionaire, and then we buy tickets to be them too. No, man, I don't buy any lottery tickets. Never have, never will. I work hard, build what I know, and I put my energy in that. That's it. You know,
Yep. And I mean, I just started a podcast. I just started all this other stuff. Like the industry is very fast. There's so many things you can get your toes into, get your hands into. You just jump into anything. and see if it sticks, see if you get good at it, see if it works. And at the end of the day, if something works out, like if your YouTube catches off, your Twitch can become your secondary. You no longer have to
Yep.
stream, and you got the success on another platform, and you can supplement that success with your stream. You can use the stream to be like, hey, we're gonna have community nights on stream now, or whatever it may be. Shoot for success and see where you land. That's the my biggest advice of right now is just seriously see where you land,
Yep.
try everything, but don't run yourself dry. My biggest thing is add one new thing a month. Once you get used to a schedule, um, add another thing. Obviously, keep yourself in the same schedule and time frame so you don't increase your time of working, but you got to be some a good advice is you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Once you get comfortable
True.
with what you're doing, make yourself uncomfortable again and just keep
You know
doing it over and
what's
over.
interesting about that is only people who've gone through life being comfortable at some point and had to reassess their situation understand what you just said. It's a very hard thing to hear from someone
Yeah.
else. Hey, you're being comfortable, man. Like, get out of your comfort zone, do something, build a company, build a Twitch channel, build a YouTube channel. You know, most people don't understand that until they've actually had that feeling, maybe sitting down home, depression, and they're just like, wait a minute, I'm not gonna fold. I'm gonna do something. Well, what is it? I'm not gonna be comfortable anymore. Because when you're comfortable, life goes by. It's like that movie Click. Your life just is fast forwarded. And the best parts of life are when you're not on fast forward. You shouldn't go to your job and just, flip a burger because that's what you're on autopilot. If you feel like you have more to give to this world. I enjoy a burger, someone has to do it. But personally I can't because I have more to give to this world. And I've met many talented people who still don't know that yet. Um, what I would say is uh, amount of time that's spent on different content creation um, in today. Like honestly, if somebody was streaming just 2 hours a night, I'd be like, cool, that's enough. You don't have to go over 2 hours because what are you really missing out on? Oh man, an extra hour and I'll have extra 10 followers or 20 followers. Like, I don't know. Just make that 2 hours awesome. I'd rather watch somebody for 2 awesome hours than, 6 bland hours.
Yeah, then edit it, put some clips onto TikTok, put the whole thing onto YouTube with some edits, make it look appealing, put it everywhere, and you're just
Yeah,
gonna see much more success than streaming for 12 hours. And I unfortunately had to learn that the hard way.
right. Because TikTok has discoverability, YouTube has discoverability, Twitch, no.
I mean, YouTube's the
So,
second largest and most used search engine in the world, so definitely
yep.
worth it.
If I need to know how to fix something, like my router, the first thing I do is see if anyone's on the YouTube who's already done it. So, um, I believe that.
Yeah, so we've already you kind of already put into the air how you think the industry has changed since you took your hiatus with how it's become more professional on all this. But is there any other things that you think has kind of changed within the industry since you've taken your break?
Well, in terms of content creation, I just think everyone's getting better at it, and the quality is going up. So people entering now are up against higher competition. If you're streaming in the same time slot that I don't know Doctor Disrespect is, or same time slot as Shroud, like you're up against these guys, and these guys are now well-known names. So the only thing that they may have going bad for them is at some point you do become so big, you're quote unquote lame. You know, like I watched the movie Free Guy, and I saw
Oh, I
some
love it.
streamers there, right? To me, it was cringe, but that's just me. because it's a comedy movie, and these high level streamers did not even make it funny.
Oh yeah, the
They were
streamer
just
parts
there
weren't the
for a
greatest.
cameo.
The cameos weren't the greatest, except for Chris Evans cameo. That was actually kind of funny.
Yeah,
Or
that was funny
that
because it
was
was a
funny.
joke,
Yeah.
and
Oh
he
come
made fun of
on.
himself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the rest of the content there was just Twitch names that got paid to be in a movie, and they're just like, oh my god, did you see that? And they're like, dude, what? Okay,
Well,
it
yeah.
completely fell flat, in my opinion. But that's a plus for young creators. It's just that because even the big guys, yeah, they have all these fans and everything else, but they become so famous and well known that eventually it's just like, I don't feel like watching him,
I
and
mean,
that's cool.
it might be a good time to get into YouTube now for everybody that's here because they're actually removing the counters for the dislike buttons and the like buttons, and then later on the subscriber amount. Like people won't be able to see how many subscribers you have anymore, or how many
What?
dislikes or likes on a video. You'll still be able to see it and adjust your content accordingly. So don't let that scare you. But if they're doing it because small creators, they want to be able to give them the same amount in the
They want to level the playing field,
they want
right?
to level the playing field. They want to get the algorithm to be truly just the algorithm, which is smart, but also because it is smart. Because if you look at the dislike button, people just go on the dislike button, just hit the dislike button. You look at
Yep.
Markiplier, there's nothing to dislike about his stuff. There really isn't. He's funny. Um, he's got a
Yes.
smooth voice. There's nothing wrong with his content. People just go there because he's big, like you said, and people just don't like
Mhm.
greatness. People don't like when people are succeeding, and they want to take it
Yeah.
out. Um, I mean, obviously, it's
You
going to be
know,
detrimental when
I
there's
totally
actually a bad
understand.
video, but yeah.
I totally understand that the dislike button shouldn't have a number because then it just becomes a trolliness, like when Call of Duty had their trailer, and everybody just went there to dislike it to be like, wow, the most disliked thing ever, you know. Um, uh, but not having it on the up one, that's so weird. That's like, okay,
The
I know
dislike's the first one. They're still planning on the like, but the dislike's already done.
oh,
Yeah,
the
they're doing it
dislike
in
is done. Okay,
increments. They're trying it out.
yeah, they're probably that's a smart thing. You don't want to deploy something that
Drastic,
invasive until
all at
yeah.
once.
But I get it. I look at the industry, right? You look at the video game industry. Video game industry is already doing things like this because you, the new Battlefield just came out yesterday, and there's no scoreboard at the end that doesn't show you how many kills and
That's
deaths
upsetting.
and things that people have. It's upsetting for me and you because we're FPS guys, and that's man. I would spend night overnight to just be the top dog. I want to kill 100 people, die 10 times, and I want everybody to see it. And then everybody would be like, "Oh man, I think he's cheating," and I'm not. I'm just that good. And this is what inside motivated me to constantly play and get better and stronger and faster, smarter. And now we're just kind of soft, right? We're just everyone feels good playing games, right? And that's the point is within game design, this makes sense because they want the user experience. They want anybody to who picks up and dies 10 times and gets 4 kills, and then later at the
Just
end when
enjoy
he's
it.
like, "Oh, how did I do?" Yeah, he just want him to enjoy it. Exactly. Well, now we live in this part where this is even going into content creation. They just want everyone to enjoy content creation. Everyone's getting thumbs up, sure. Um,
I mean, it makes sense, and and it inspires people and brings people to want to put their videos up because now they don't have that burden or that oversensing dread that they're going to have dislikes and people are going to see that. So it also helps out YouTube because there's going to be more posts and in the end, more ad revenue. So, I
yep.
mean, it works out for them and everybody
It works
else.
out exactly for them for sure. There's only one issue that I see is how does it work out for the individual who gets this um, positive reinforcement? You look at platforms like TikTok and you put up a video and you have a 1 million views and you feel amazing. You're like, oh my god, it's 1 million views, but the video is 5 seconds and someone had it on repeat, for like a week because they were too lazy to turn off their phone and it gave you 10,000 views. You know what I mean? That's the point. They're not real
Yeah.
views, not all of them. And the platform, they know that. TikTok knows what they're doing. They want to report a very big number to you because they want you to feel like, oh my god, I got 1 million views. I'm gonna make 10 more videos and I'm gonna
Yeah.
get better. It motivates you. Sure, if you can turn it into something and amazing, great. But we also, I look at it from perspective when I was a teacher, and years ago you asked a kid, hey, what do you want to be? I want to be a fireman. I want to be a soldier. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. You know, kids had these realistic expectations. Now you ask a kid, what do you want to be? I want to be a YouTuber. And I'm like, holy shit, we can't all be YouTubers now, can we? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course, not everybody. I mean, in the end, if you have a job, if you're a mechanic and you want to put up your tidbits on YouTube, I mean that's a whole nother thing too.
Right.
So you can get a good job and then put things up uh on YouTube, but yeah, that's why I tried it. I was a teacher too, and I also we have very similar teaching paths. I taught in the inner city of Phoenix for a while there,
Hmm.
and uh yeah, the amount of kids that would say I want to become famous or I want to be an actor, I'm just like,
Right.
well, you can do what I would always tell them is you can go to YouTube, you can put your stuff on YouTube, but you're gonna have to be really reasonable. You're gonna have a job, and then you have to be very if you for example, you see like these my wife is pregnant. We're expecting in May. And there's like these
Nice.
YouTube
Congratulations.
videos. Thank you. Thank you. There's there's like these YouTube videos for like working out in the second trimester, like super fine targeted YouTube channel. That's perfect. If you find something that you're good at, make a channel super targeted on that and run with it. And if you're also here and you're a streamer, um, and you want to do that and plus this, plus your actual streaming, you can have two YouTube channels. All you just need to have is two emails. It's super easy, super, and then you can have both of them like shout each other out and have the channels and like end screens and stuff. There's so many ways to be successful streaming. If you have another job, implement it. I promise you,
Yeah.
implement it.
I guess to just kind of say like, the fact that these big companies are changing their um websites to keep people on there. The only worry I have is when you look at like what recently happened with Facebook is these people are
Oh,
smart. They
yeah.
make the algorithms, they know what they're doing, and they knew that negativity spread like wildfire over there, but it became it gave them so many impressions. It affected their bottom line so well that they made so much money off of advertising to these negative people because they're showing them negativity that they want to keep seeing. This is the worry: is YouTube is going to remove sub counts, remove these likes, dislikes. Twitch is going to do all sorts of stuff as well. And at the end, we're being marketed. We're being marketed by these companies. And what I wonder is how much power these companies actually have. You see what I mean? That's my only wonder. And I don't think it's something me and you can answer here, but it's
Oh,
an
no,
interesting
definitely not.
thing to bring up when this is the trend that they're going, or even video game industries going in and saying like, hey, it's a first person shooter game, but everyone's going to have fun, right? And then you just kind of look at and say, well, we'll see how that all rolls out.
Well, I do want to get one question out there, and then I'll let you talk about Tiltify Games and get that a good platform, and then we'll answer some questions. So raise your hands if you know how to do that. It should be down at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be getting to your questions shortly, really. But do you think it's actually easier to succeed before or after the pandemic start?
Easier to do what?
Do you think it's either? Sorry, I kind of like fell off a cliff at the end there. Do you think it's easier to succeed in content creation before the
Uh,
pandemic started or after?
I'm the type of person who says that every day becomes easier to succeed because technology moves forward. You just have to grasp what the new technologies. Every day there's new trends. Because you're talking entertainment. What made me big is not gonna make you big anymore. because entertainment evolves. What's the new trend? What's cool today is not what was cool when I started. What helped me become a streamer. So, in while that's a quote unquote possibly bad thing, it's a bad thing for me because I have to keep up. It's a good thing for you because if you're in tune with your ear to the ground and you know what's happening, what's cool, you have a better opportunity to succeed than any other streamer or YouTuber that's out right now. You just go with the trends. There's always something new, and entertainment, that's the basis of it. You're never going to be entertained if you're always shown the same thing, right? So
Definitely.
I think you can succeed today way better than I could succeed yesterday.
Yeah.